Hey, good morning. Wish is Stephanie. I'm resisting my tripods right now because they're fighting me and I don't want to fight. Okay, so I have some notes on some videos I've been meaning to make for a while, and there we go. I'll get my arm to lean on something so it's not quite as crazy. Alright, so yeah. Hi. It's been a while. It's been really freaking busy. And here's the fun part. You're gonna hear some like knocking around that's coming from upstairs. My neighbor started to renovate his apartment yesterday at 7:30 in the morning. Good news is he doesn't do it late at night. And although 7:30 is early, it's about when we get up to go to work anyway. So it's not that big a deal. It's just on days off like today when I want to do lots of recordings for this YouTube channel and my podcast, it's a little bit hard when there's banging going on. And then last night on the street outside of our apartment, they started to do some construction on the street. So I'm guessing spring is construction season in Shanghai, which I didn't realize because we were in the last apartment, we were far off of the main road. Not far, but far enough, apparently. And now we're not. The joys of living in a city. So, I have been thinking about the animations that I do. Let me grab some examples and I'll show you. Okay, so I grabbed some examples from level 3 of my Light in a Box. And so here we go. So the burning question are my animations that I make with the hanzi characters, are they in interlanguage? That's the question. But let me show you the animations, what I do first. I have done this in previous videos, but I think it's been a long time since I've talked about them, and I'm still doing them. I don't want you to think that my brain has stopped doing this. So this one is sha tu, right? And it's rain. Sha tu. And this looks like rain, right? So literally when I see this, I see these moving downwards, and I want to run for my umbrella. I'm not kidding. They don't actually move downwards, but I do, in a sense, vision them moving downwards on the page, and it helps me remember, hey, this is rain. I want to save that one for last. Okay, this one is fei ji, and it's fei ji, right? Okay, it's airplane. Look at this first component. I think that looks like a freaking airplane. So literally when I see it, it just takes off the flashcard and flies away. It flies away. And that's how I remember that is airplane. I don't have any words that look similar enough to this for this to be a problem yet. So if you're wondering, what if there's another one that starts with this fei? What do? I don't know. I haven't encountered that yet. Actually, I do know. I make confusion cards where I have both of them and I try to tease out the differences between them. But right now, I don't have that problem with fei. This one's really easy. This is dian. Wait, what's the tone? Oh, it's falling, rising. Dian. Wait, dian. Anyway, so it means like a dot or a clock. Wait, doesn't this also mean electricity? Wait. Hold on, pause. Oh dear, I hadn't realized I was getting that confused with this guy. This guy is dian with the falling tone. Here, I can have you listen to somebody else mispronounce it correctly. Dian. I can't hold both of them up, but I can do them successively because I'm holding my phone with my camera right now, as you can tell by the shakiness. So that's the a dot o'clock one. And I haven't seen that in a while, so I can't really clarify the meaning of that yet. And this one's electricity. But let me do this one then, because this makes more sense. So this one is a really simple stroke one, so it didn't actually take a long time for me to memorize this one, but I do envision this getting plugged into the wall. I picture this being like an extension cord coming out here, and I envision it being plugged into the wall. Last example. Is this one. This one took me a really long time to recognize, and I imagine it's going to come and go for a long time. Just because it's got so many strokes, there is a direct correlation between the number of strokes and the amount of times I will forget a word and have to reintroduce it into my brain. I kid you not. The simpler the strokes, the stuff I introduced from HSK2 in the past 3 days, the stuff that has maybe less than 5 strokes has gone straight up and is in like level 3 and level 4 already. Okay, so not the past 3 days because that can't happen. But in the past week has gone straight up. Every day it moves up a level. And there's stuff still from HSK1 that has many, many strokes that is stuck in level 1. It's complicated. Alright, so this one has a lot of strokes. And it's piao long. Piao long. It's pretty. Now what I envision now is, okay, see this down here? I envision that being a woman sitting down at, you know those little... what are they called? Makeup things where you sit on a tiny stool and you look in this mirror and all of your makeup is on this little counter-ish kind of thing. I envision this being a woman looking into that kind of sit-down mirror thingy. And I guess this would be part of the mirror too. Maybe this is the desky part where the makeup is and this is where the mirror is, and I have no idea what that line up there is. So that's what this part of it is. I have not reconciled what this part of it is, but I do recognize this, and thank goodness so far I don't have anything else to confuse this particular part with. I'm sure there are words that have this as part of words that are not pretty, but right now I don't. So that's the visual that I have going there. Not even a visual, the animation that I have going on there. Why is there water in that? Because you see, there's a water component. I just got lipstick on. Anyway, there's a water component on this side. Why is there water in pretty? Is pretty fluid? Wow, that's judgy. Dear Hansa, why is pretty fluid? Aren't we just pretty our whole lives? Aren't we just beautiful people? Damn it. Alright, so that's an idea of the animation. Now, what the heck is interlanguage? Gonna refer to my notes now. According to Selinker 1972, yes, I'm getting slightly academic on you because this is where I got this vocabulary. It was from grad school. And this is one of the few things that makes sense from second language acquisition in grad school, because a lot of it was people who didn't really know much about learning languages making up theories about learning language and testing it on 2 people. I didn't like that part of grad school. Alright, so, and some of it wasn't, and that's the stuff that I talk about, and that's the stuff that stayed with me, and that's the stuff I'm still interested in on some level. Alright, so what did Selinker in 1972 say? He said that when you have interlanguage, it's something that, quote, preserves some features of your first language. Now, that doesn't really sound like my animations, does it? Because I'm not really preserving a feature of my first language. But then what is it? Like it's moving around. See, here's the thing. When these animations happen in my head, and I don't try to do this. I know some people say, like part of the tips of learning Chinese is to try to envision what the hanzi character is if it were a picture. And I don't even try to do this. This just happens. This is what my brain does with these characters, because to me they look more like paintings than they do components in a word. And I really want to say letters, but there still isn't a really easy comparison between the radicals and the components and letters. There just isn't. So we're going to say these things, these hanzi characters, they look like pictures to me, and sometimes they look like videos, that things of animations of things that move around. Now, the things that move around, it's visuals that existed in my first language? I don't know. Do visuals exist in a language, or is it just the words that exist that we put on the visuals later? Because there are things in the world, especially in other languages, there's things that I've experienced, that I've eaten, that I've seen, that I don't know words for. Some of it, if it's food, I don't want to know words for it, because then I'll be able to look it up and find out what I've eaten, and I don't want to know some of the things I've eaten. But some things, do you know what I mean? Like, you can see something, you can envision something, you could probably even draw something if you had drawing skills, which I don't, but you wouldn't necessarily have a word for it. But for some reason, these animations feel kind of primitive to me. They feel like childlike, which is not negative, but I feel like it comes from a place of first language without being attached to words, because words would be, and Latin script both, whether my first language was Italian or English, who knows, who cares, but both of them basically share the same script. So it's not, I'm not dragging in the sound of those languages, I'm not dragging in the meaning. I guess I am dragging in the meaning, but I don't know. It feels like a stretch to call it an interlanguage, but I feel like it's the closest words to why my brain does this. Why my brain automatically clicks onto an animation within the hanzi characters. Why does it do this? I think it's doing this in order to understand it and in order to remember it. And I know I'm talking about my brain as if it's not a part of me, and honestly with language learning, a lot of times I feel like it kind of goes off on its own thing. So that's why I'm doing that. I understand it's right here and it is a part of me, but I barely understand what is happening when I'm trying to learn languages. And especially this time when it's been almost a year. We're coming up on my 1-year anniversary, which is, with the effort that I've put into this year, the most effort I've ever put into any language on a consistent basis. So I'm trying to figure out what's happening, because these animations, to be honest with you, really help me. Really help me, especially for the words that have a lot of strokes. It really helps me remember them. So I'm not going to fight it. I tried to fight it a little bit at first because I understood that there would be words that would have similar components and it might confuse them. And I'm dealing with that as it comes up. Hold on, let me show you a card on how I deal with that. Okay, so for time words, I had a massively hard time with these 3 words, chronologically and sound-wise. And once I got the pinyin down, I still had a problem remembering. No, I had an easy time forgetting. I had a hard time remembering which was now, which was today, which was yesterday, which was today, and which was tomorrow. And so what I did is I made a card with all 3 of them so I could see them together. Now this is the most I think I would have on any given card. Most of the time it's one versus another. It's 2 that look similar to each other. And this one I kind of made into a thing where I want to do a timeline and I said put in time order. And then on the back of the card I literally have the time order. So this kind of thing, when I'm confusing 2 words, I put them on a card and I make a new card. That's why my Lightner box, which is actually a bag, it's getting really heavy because I've got 150 HSK1 words. I have about, I think about 30 HSK2 words, and then I've got the confusion cards, which hopefully lead to less confusion in the future. Who knows? Anyway, so that's how I'm dealing with that. So I'm not fighting the animations, but I really do wonder, if it's not interlanguage, what is it? What is there a term for this thing that my brain's doing? And I'm sure other people do with the hanzi characters. These animations, what is it? Is it a step to learning a language, or will I forever see these things moving when I see these words in the future? Or does that drop away? I really hope it doesn't drop away, because like I said, these characters feel like art to me. They feel like a painting to me, and having an animation in some of the words feels fun. Like English letters, the Latin script does not have any sort of fun like this to me. They're just letters. But when I see certain things in the wild that I can read, or in papers, or things that, when I see things that I can read, I get really excited because when I see the animations, because it feels like I'm watching a movie from a static text. And that doesn't happen in any other script to me. So I really hope it doesn't leave as I learn it. And I think that's why I think that this is an interlanguage, because I feel like it will leave. I feel like I'm doing the animations on my way to just recognizing the words immediately. And I feel like it will leave. And interlanguages generally, unless you get stuck, unless you plateau at a certain level, which does happen, generally it's a step on your way to becoming a certain level of fluency in a language. But I don't want these animations to leave. So if it's not interlanguage, what is it? And the second question is, how do I get it to not leave? Because I really like the playfulness of these animations, and I would like them to stay. Now, if I'm reading newspapers, which is one of my biggest goals, Will that slow me down with reading the text? Probably. But, you know, there's a price to pay for everything in life. So there you go. So geek out on this as you will. If you know the terminology, that's great. If you don't, that's fine. I'd still like to hear your ideas. Have you done this willingly or intentionally or accidentally when you've learned the Chinese language? And did it stop? I guess that's one of the bigger questions, is as you became more fluent in the language, and of course this means reading-wise, for those of you that learned how to read hanzi characters, did it stop? Did the animation stop as you got more fluent, or did it just kind of playfully dance around the page? Alright, thank you very much, Satyen!